The boy loved to run. He loved the feeling of the wind in his hair, the ground rushing beneath his feet. Winning was everything to him. The roar of the crowd, the thrill of victory, these were the sensations that fueled his spirit. Each race was a challenge, a chance to prove his worth, and he always proved himself, crossing the finish line ahead of all others. His heart swelled with pride with every medal he won, every trophy he held high. Yet there was a nagging feeling within him, a subtle emptiness. The victories were exhilarating, yes, but the joy they brought was fleeting. He chased the high of winning, always seeking the next triumph. He rarely stopped to appreciate the journey, the effort, the dedication it took to reach the finish line. His focus was always on the destination, never the path. One day, he found himself at the starting line of a very different race, one unlike any he had ever participated in before. This race was longer, winding through the heart of the city, with its bustling streets and towering buildings. As he looked around, he saw a diverse group of participants, each with their own unique story and reason for being there. There were seasoned runners like himself, their faces etched with determination and years of experience. There were also families with children, laughing and holding hands, sharing the joy of the race together. But what truly caught his attention were two individuals who stood out from the rest, defying the usual expectations. An elderly woman, frail and bent with age, clutched her race number with a determined grip. Next to her stood a blind man, his hand resting lightly on the shoulder of a guide dog, ready to face the challenge ahead. Confusion clouded the boy's mind. What were they doing here in a race meant for the fit and the fast? This was a race, a competition, where only the strongest and fastest were expected to excel. Could they even hope to finish, let alone compete with the others? He shook his head, dismissing them as serious contenders, convinced they wouldn't last long. His eyes narrowed with renewed focus on the finish line, blocking out all distractions. He would win this race, as he always did, confident in his abilities and his training. The starting pistol fired, and the boy shot forward, leaving everyone else in his dust. His heart pounded with excitement as he felt the wind rush past his face. He savored the familiar burn in his lungs, the rhythm of his stride. Each step was a testament to his training and dedication. He was a gazelle, swift and graceful, gliding effortlessly toward his goal. The world around him blurred as he focused solely on the finish line. As he ran, he noticed the old woman struggling to keep up. Her determination was evident, but her body was not as willing. Her breath came in ragged gasps, each step a monumental effort. Yet she pressed on, driven by an inner strength. The blind man, guided by his faithful companion, moved slowly but steadily, his face a mask of serene concentration. The bond between them was unbreakable. The boy's initial instinct was to surge ahead, to widen the gap between himself and these unlikely competitors. He wanted to prove his prowess. But then a voice stopped him in his tracks. It was a voice that carried wisdom and compassion. It was the voice of a wise old man, his eyes twinkling with kindness, who stood watching the race unfold. His presence was calming. "Young man," he said gently, "what is the point of running if you forget to enjoy the scenery, to share the path with others?" His words resonated deeply, making the boy reconsider his approach to the race and to life. The boy paused, his brow furrowed in thought, as he pondered the words he had just heard. The old man's words struck a chord deep within him, resonating with a truth he had not yet fully understood. He looked back at the struggling figures of the old woman and the blind man, their efforts to move forward despite their challenges. They weren't competitors to be vanquished, he realized, but individuals with their own battles to fight. They were fellow travelers on this journey called life, each facing their own unique challenges, striving to reach their own finish line, no matter how difficult the path. The boy's heart softened, filled with a newfound sense of compassion and understanding for those around him. He slowed his pace, doubling back to where the old woman struggled, determined to make a difference. Offering her a hand, he matched his stride to hers, whispering words of encouragement and support. He ran alongside the blind man, describing the sights and sounds of the city, painting a vivid picture with his words. The blind man smiled, grateful for the young boy's kindness and the companionship he provided. As they neared the finish line, the crowd that had gathered erupted in cheers, not for the boy's speed, but for his empathy, his willingness to help others along the way. The cheers washed over him, warmer and more fulfilling than any he had ever experienced after his solitary victories. He understood now the true essence of winning. The true measure of victory was not in the time it took to cross the finish line, but in the kindness and compassion one showed along the way, making the journey worthwhile for everyone involved.